Volume 7. Great Spirit Battle. Chapter 45. Tyrannical Opponent, Mad Battle Team. The thin cat young lady clearly did not hope to beat the enemy with her first attack. Just when Tang San diverted her silver claw flurry, she already pushed close to Tang San, her third spirit ring lighting up. On the other side, Xiao Wu pounced from above, straight towards the fat rat. The fat rat also looked upwards to see her, but wasn't panicked. His spherical body suddenly bounced upwards, his first two spirit rings simultaneously lighting up, his claws popping out. With a speed unlike his size, he approached Xiao Wu. His speed was surprisingly even faster than the thin cat. Fat rat's stature was confusing to any type of enemy. Tang San's first guess was right, they were both agility system spirit masters. However, Thin Cat's first spirit ring was Speed Boost, and that was a 10-year spirit ring. Fat Rat's second spirit ring was Speed Boost. 100-year spirit rings cannot be compared to 10-year spirit rings, so actually Fat Rat's speed was even faster than Thin Cat's, but his strength was weaker than Skinny Cat's in the first two spirit rings. The two sides both started their confrontations. The flames of spirit fighting were also released at this moment. When Thin Cat pushed near Tang San's body, her third spirit ring had already released its ability. Her goal was to take down Tang San with the speed of 10,000 tons of lightning and then go back to help Fat Rat. When seeing Tang San and Xiao Wu with superior spirit rings, the experienced Thin Cat already decided to use this extreme method to fight. In normal fights, both sides do a bit of probing to find out the enemy's spirit abilities before going all in. She did this because she was forced by their strong spirit rings. If she succeeded, the win would be theirs. 4 wins in a row isn't easy to get, and they don't want to waste the 5-win streak. If that happens, the points and the money earned are tenfolded. Meow, a shrill meow suddenly sounded. The spirit power on the claws made whistled through the air. The very air bended as it went through. This obviously wasn't her own strength anymore, but the powers that come with her third spirit abilities. Now, she was already right in front of Tang San. The elongated claws thrusted for many spots on Tang San. Her attack was also doubled by her 1,000-year spirit ring and was now undefendable for a same-ranked spirit master. If the enemy was any other spirit master, they might have actually been defeated by the courageous advancements of her. Locking down their front, the only option was to back off to dodge her attack, but Tang San had already backed off slightly, so he was very near the spirit fighting stage's edge. If he backed up right now, Thin Cat was sure she could push him off the stage. Unfortunately, Thin Cat's plans failed. Her enemy Tang San once went through a life and death situation. How would he be easily beaten back? As the sharp claws almost pierced through his body, suddenly, Tang San's upper body disappeared without any warning. Thin Cat young lady blanked a little. Her movements were way too quick, so even she didn't see how Tang San did it. In reality, Tang San's actions were simple. All he did was bend backwards, letting his entire upper body fall back. Though he wasn't as flexible as Xiao Wu, doing this was still within his ability. However, because Thin Cat young lady was in front of him, doing this was exposing his chest. Though the Thin Cat young lady blanked, she immediately found Tang San's seemingly wrong actions. All she has to do is flick her wrist downwards to win this fight. Victory was imminent, and Thin Cat young lady couldn't help but feel joy. Flicking her wrist was such an easy move for her. Thinking in her mind, she thought, this guy with a mask has decent spirit rings, but his real combat experience is horrible. He used this weakness exposing tactic to solve my previous attack. However, she also forgot something. She forgot about Tang San's spirit. Thin Cat young lady's joy only lasted a split second. The next moment, she found that she couldn't move her body at all, not even to flick her wrist downwards. Tang San already released his blue-silver grass earlier when Xiao Wu jumped from his shoulders. Only his blue-silver grass was summoned along the ground. When Thin Cat young lady attacked, her body stopped for a split second and the dexterous blue-silver grass entangled her. If not for the blue-silver grass's entanglement, though she was very fast, how would Tang San expose his weakness in front of her? After the bending back, Tang San somersaulted backwards, both legs kicking out onto the enemy's wrists. Thin cat young lady suddenly discovered she couldn't move. Just when she wanted to struggle, Tang San's two kicks came and a big force sent her flying backwards. At the same time, the spikes on the blue-silver grass popped out, paralyzing her entire body, forcing her to concentrate all her spirit power to defend against it. In a real combat situation, the advantage of the painfully obtained man-faced demon spider spirit ring was shown. Not only was blue-silver grass extremely tough, the poison was also increased greatly. Binding looked like Tang San's first spirit ability, but blue-silver grass was the main body of Tang San's spirit, so every spirit ring would augment the blue-silver grass. This was the advantage of a tool spirit vs a beast spirit. Tool spirit masters, though their bodies couldn't be augmented by the spirit, their spirit grew stronger consistently. Though thin cat young lady struggled with all her might, her spirit power wasn't even as strong as Dai Mabi's or as intense, so how could she escape the blue-silver grass? Under the paralyzing poison, she was absolutely controlled by Tang San. Tang San walked his ghost shadow perplexing track. With one step, he came to thin cat young lady's side. Flipping her with the tips of his toes, her body fell off the spirit fighting stage. According to the rules, the moment they fell off the stage, they were out. At the same time as the thin cat young lady fell off the platform, Fat Rat was also thrown off on the other side. As it turned out, Xiao Wu, who was dashing towards Fat Rat, without hesitation activated her teleportation, flashing behind Fat Rat. Her scorpion braid whipping out, trapping the enemy's neck, right leg kicking, throwing Fat Rat off the platform. If it was a life and death situation, the thrown-out Fat Rat would obviously still have fighting power. Xiao Wu, though she activated her waist bow, didn't give the enemy a major injury. After all, beast-type spirit masters all had very strong bodies, plus the enemy was prepared for it, unlike the ambushed vulgar Uncle Bula, who didn't even release his spirit power. In this fight, Fat Rat's spirit wasn't a flying-type spirit, so how could he control his body in midair? He was thrown off at almost the same time as Thin Cat. The fight started fast and ended faster. In the fight, in only the blink of an eye, the match was decided. In the audience, those spectators cheering for the cat-rat combination instantly became quiet as mice, as Tang San and Xiao Wu settled on the spirit fighting stage and smiled at each other. Even they hadn't thought today would be this easy. In their mind, they thought it was because of countering spirits. Tang San's control system and Xiao Wu's close combat were both counters of agility system spirit masters. Originally Xiao Wu should be countered by agility system spirit masters, but now that she had teleportation, it greatly reduced her own weaknesses. Under unprepared circumstances, the Fat Rat didn't even activate his 1,000-year spirit ring before he was sent flying by her. Grandmaster, sitting in the stands, nodded slightly. He was very satisfied with Tang San and Xiao Wu's performance. As a spectator, he saw even clearer than everyone else. In the few moments of fighting, Tang San's reaction time and his synergy with his own spirit were all perfect. Easily beating a team with higher spirit power wasn't only because of countering spirits. The months of real combat training under his direction were starting to show results. Under the announcement of the host, 3-5 combination received a good score of 2 consecutive wins, and their points rose to 3. Only now did the crowds around the stage finally start cheering. Though this fight was short, both Tang San's blue-silver grass and Xiao Wu's teleportation opened their minds. The crowds were fair, and wouldn't be miserly with their applause. The 3-5 combination, under the crowd's cheers, silently left the stage. What awaited them still were a 1 versus 1 battle each. Perhaps today was a lucky day for Shrek 7 Devils. In all the 1 versus 1 and 2 versus 2 spirit fights, everyone obtained victory. Among them Oscar and Dai Mabai named their combination Dual-Winged White Tiger, referring to how under Little Owl's assistance, The evil eye-white tiger was like a tiger that had grown wings. They faced an attack and defense system Spirit Master combination, Dai Mabai under the effect of Oscar's mushroom sausage, with speed fully compensating for his weaknesses, adding the flying capability, with a power not short of a thunderbolt. He delivered one of the opponents outside the ring, after which the contest naturally held no suspense. Ning Rongrong and Zhu Zhuqing named their combination Seven Treasures Civet, and as the opponents saw Ning Rongrong's Seven Treasures Glazed Tile Pagoda, their fighting spirit already dropped greatly. When facing a combination with an auxiliary system Spirit Master, one should first attack the auxiliary system Spirit Master, but common Spirit Masters couldn't want to offend the Seven Treasures Glazed Tile School as one of the 7 great sects. Therefore, both 20th ranked Spirit Masters had to confront Zhu Zhuqing with speed and strength boosted by 30%. Under the assistance of the 7 Treasures Glazed Tile Pagoda, the current Zhu Zhuqing, apart from not having a third spirit ability, already had strength surpassing the 30th ranked level, and relying on lightning-like speed she settled the opponents without wasting too much effort. 5-1 versus 1 bouts, and 3-2 versus 2 bouts ended in complete victory. For the opening of the Shrek 7 Devil's Spirit fight journey, it was a perfect start. Of course, they still hadn't finished the spirit fights today. There was still one last bout waiting for them. Successively eating 2 of his own sausages, then giving the others 1 recovery sausage each, Oscar's face was proud. Obtaining a point the first time he took part in a fight, how could he be unhappy? Especially since, apart from using some of his spirit power to give Dai Mabai a mushroom sausage, he basically did nothing. He had not even needed to use his plan to escape the opponent's attacks in the ring. Grandmaster, Flender and Zhao Wuji, looking at the 7 disciples before them, couldn't help but nod inwardly. How could they be dissatisfied when these less than 15-year-olds were able to obtain this kind of success in the spirit arena? Grandmaster said, "We should go join the team battles. As a result of signing up for late bouts, you should be competing close to last. Remember, what you will confront is a team over 30th rank. Team battles are different from 1 versus 1 and 2 versus 2. The teamwork between each other is far more important than individual fighting strength. Since the counterpart fights as a team, they will not lack any type of spirit master. As for tactics, it depends on how they are arranged." Dai Mabai said, "Grandmaster, don't say you're still not happy with our teamwork. Little San, you are a control system spirit master. When we're fighting later, you take command. All of us will listen to you." Tang San didn't object. As the soul of the team, this was his duty. "Well, later Mabai, Xiao Wu, Zhuqing, you 3 are our main assault, Mabai in the middle, Xiao Wu and Zhuqing supporting on the side. I'll be in the middle to as far as possible restrain the opponents and support your attack. Fatty, you stay in the rear, use your Phoenix Firewire to perform ranged attacks and protect Little Ao and Rongrong. Little Ao, begin preparing now, get everyone 1 of each of your 3 sausages. Any problems?" Oscar said, "No problem, my spirit power is still sufficient." Tang San last turned to Ning Rongrong, "Pay attention to your safety. You and Little Ao mustn't be far from Fatty's side. If the opponents launch an attack towards you, there's no need to be nervous. Me and Fatty will work together to protect you." Ning Rongrong giggled, "What nervous? It doesn't seem like I can even feel that." Dai Mabai said, "Good. Let's go." The team battle arena obviously had to be much larger than for 1 versus 1 and 2 versus 2, and the contestants' lobby appeared especially bustling. At least 30 spirit masters waited here. One must know, in all of Balak Kingdom, there were only 2 spirit arenas on the scale of Suotuo Great Spirit Arena. One was here, the other was Balak Great Spirit Arena in Balak Kingdom's capital. One might say that spirit masters wanting to join in spirit fights in Balak Kingdom practically had to gather in these 2 cities, otherwise there wouldn't be this many spirit masters here. According to Spirit Hall statistics, in the whole continent there were no more than 100,000 spirit masters. Of them, the spirit masters residing in Balak Kingdom were only 2,000 or so. That's all. From this, Great Spirit Arena could attract an amount of spirit masters. Even if it was spirit masters on the level of Flender and Zhao Wuji, there were still many participating in big spirit fights. Because of the high level and powerful strength, the earnings they could obtain from Great Spirit Arena were considerable. Were it not for Zhao Wuji's numerous enemies and Flender's arrogance, with the Academy's finances in a slump, maybe they also would have participated in spirit fights. Sure enough, like what Grandmaster said, Tang San's group would be second from last to appear. They couldn't go see the fights outside, and among the 7 were 4 who had experienced 2 spirit fights and all had used some spirit power. Even though they had the assistance of Oscar's recovery sausage, spirit power couldn't recover completely in such a short time. So taking advantage of the time before they had to appear, the 7 sat down in a corner meditating to aggregate spirit power, preparing for the fight later. If only one person wore a mask, perhaps they wouldn't draw too much attention, but when 7 people wore the same mask, as they entered this team battle lobby they couldn't avoid drawing the attention of others. The majority of spirit masters on seeing Tang San's party revealed alert expressions. Although they couldn't see the faces of the Shrek 7 devils, from their stature and clothing they could still make out that they consisted of 3 women and 4 men. Among spirit master teams, female spirit masters were only 1/5 as many as the male spirit masters, so this kind of team was already somewhat odd. As Tang San's 7 were quietly cultivating and waiting to enter, a more than 2 meters tall, extremely sturdy large man suddenly walked in their direction. From his appearance he was over 30 years old, with a naked torso exposing exaggerated suntanned muscles. No need to ask, he was another strength model spirit master. "Hey, little miss, with your figure, what are you doing covering your face? Let big brother have a look." He spoke to the one among the 3 girls of the Shrek 7 devils with the most fiery figure, Zhu Zhuqing. Although Zhu Zhuqing was the youngest, her degree of development constantly made Xiao Wu and Ning Rongrong envious. Right now, with face covered by a mask, there was basically no indication she was just a 12-year-old girl. "Get lost." Her reply was very consistent with her usual personality, only one cold utterance. "Is it that your face is shameful? Little girl, don't you know who I am? You dare talk to me that way?" As he spoke, he already raised his big hand. "She told you to get lost, didn't you hear?" Dai Mabai stood up sharply, stepping in front of Zhu Zhuqing. Although he was a size smaller than the opponent, the sudden eruption of his imposing manner made the opponent pause. Looking to Dai, the big man fiercely widened his eyes, right hand suddenly swinging, swatting down at Dai Mabai. Dai Mabai snorted coldly, his right fist swinging up to meet the opponent's palm. With a muffled pang, the big man's body swayed once, but Dai Mabai took 2 steps back, a cold light flashing in the 4 pupils of his evil eyes, intense killing intent immediately exploding out from the oldest of the Shrek 7 devils, the evil eye white tiger. The Shrek 7 devils to the side naturally saw Dai Mabai get the worst of it. As a power-type spirit master, although Dai Mabai hadn't used his spirit power could affect his attack. By him being sent back 2 steps, it could clearly be seen that the opponent's spirit power was higher than his. One must know that currently Dai Mabai was already a 37th ranked spirit elder, moreover about to enter the 38th rank. Being beaten back by the counterpart under these kinds of circumstances, then, this robust large man before them very possibly was 38th ranked, or even 39th ranked spirit elder. In the 30th rank, his spirit power was already a top-level existence. "Stop fighting." When both sides stood with swords drawn and bows bent, on the verge of a large fight, a neutral voice suddenly interposed itself. A seeming like a 40-something years old middle-aged man approached with large strides. He didn't seem to use any power, but with only 2 steps appeared between Dai Mabai and the large man. "Don't you know you can't have personal fights in the spirit arena waiting area? These are the rules of the Great Spirit Arena. If you must fight, go do so on the Spirit Arena stage." Seeing this middle-aged man, that previously bristling with anger big man unexpectedly immediately changed complexion. "Manager Ao, my bad, I briefly didn't hold back. The middle-aged man called Manager Ao gazed at the Shrek 7 Devils. You must be that newly registered team Shrek 7 Devils. All right, you don't need to argue here. As it happens, today you will be each other's opponents in the spirit arena. Whatever your grievances, settle them yourselves in the arena. Mad Shi, the next time you let me catch you causing trouble, don't blame me for being rude. This is the last time I'll warn you, remember it. Yes, yes, no need to repeat it, no need to repeat it. Mad Zai's strong body and that ridiculous expression on his face seemed extremely unharmonious, but as his gaze changed direction to Dai Mabai, it immediately became cold, extending a finger to point at Dai Mabai. Kid, just wait till later. I'll beat you till your mama won't recognize you, or my name isn't Mad Shi. Finished speaking, Mad Shi turned around and left. That Manager Ao cast a glance at Dai Mabai, indifferently saying, don't be deceived by appearances. Mad Shi is the captain of Mad Battle Team. All their members are over 35th rank spirit power. In the 7 days since they registered at the Spirit Arena, their team has already obtained 7 successive victories on the Spirit Elder rank. If they can accomplish 10 successive victories, they will be directly advanced to Copper Spirit fights. With their strength, they could be counted as first class among the 30th ranked Copper Spirit fighter teams. They would even be outstanding. You're on your own. If you admit your strength is insufficient, after going on stage immediately admit defeat. If Mad Battle Team acts, you'll end up wounded or dead. Manager Ao didn't speak loudly, just enough to let all the Shrek 7 Devils hear him, then turned around and left. But after the other Spirit Masters saw Manager Ao, they didn't look in their direction again. Dai Mabai curled his lips. I didn't expect that the first time we climb onto the spirit fighting stage we would encounter a bone so difficult to chew. Wounded or dead. I want to see who really ends up wounded or dead. That Mad Shi isn't simple. Oscar said. Boss Dai, remember the first thing this manager said, don't be deceived by appearances. He gave us a hint. Mad Shi isn't as boorish as he appears. Able to become a team captain, leading his team to 7 successive victories, frightening the other teams, that can't be accomplished by strength alone. This fellow might be specially probing our strength. Dai Mabai nodded, very possible. If it's like this, we must be cautious. Everyone listen up. If the situations turn for the worse, don't force it. Immediately use Little Ao's mushroom sausage and escape the ring. Everyone's safety must be the first priority. As the captain of the Shrek 7 Devils team, Dai Mabai wasn't a person that would let emotions affect his decisions, but he also wouldn't helplessly watch his girl be insulted. Of course, the words, his girl, were only recognized by him alone. Zhu Zhuqing absolutely wouldn't acknowledge them. Tang San said, the opponents have the advantage in rank. Since that Mad Shi is written Shi, his spirit should be rhinoceros. A spirit master inclined towards the defensive physical strength type. When attacking, we should as much as possible refrain from clashing with him. First attack the opponent's lower ranked spirit masters. Leave this Mad Shi to me. I'll restrain him as far as possible. The 13th Spirit Arena altogether had 5 rings. Before the third match the Shrek 7 Devils had an hour of rest. Finally, it was their turn. Shrek 7 Devils left the Spirit Master resting area at the same time as Mad Battle Team. Now, they finally saw all the members of the Mad Battle Team. The imposingly large Mad Shi walked ahead of them. Following closely behind were 2 middle-aged men of around the same age. The two had a somewhat similar appearance, and should be a pair of brothers, with ordinary builds and gloomy complexions. Further in the rear was a glamorous woman, the only female in the Mad Battle Team. Through the heavy makeup her age couldn't be made out, but by her figure she should be over 20. Her clothes were also extremely revealing. On her upper body she only wore cloth wrapped around her chest, and although she wore a skirt it was thin as gauze, and her skin could be faintly seen through it. The flirtatious woman threw Dai Mabai, walking first of the Shrek 7 Devils, a coquettish look. Dai Mabai didn't even give her a glance. He had seen numerous beautiful women, and most disliked this kind of heavy makeup. From the start he didn't have even a bit of interest. Dai Mabai wasn't interested, but he didn't represent the interest of the others, for example a certain fatty. Right now his evil fire was already rising, secretly swallowing, in his mind playing out some fantasies not suitable for children. Behind the flirtatious woman were two slightly built youths, constantly watching in every direction with flickering gazes. Walking last of the mad battle team was their oldest member, at least over 40, appearing very average, his clothes also quite simple. If he wasn't in this great spirit arena it would be difficult to connect him with the two words, Spirit Master. As the Shrek 7 devils observed the opponents naturally also observed them. Unfortunately, among the Shrek 7 devils apart from Fatty's distinctive figure, the others all had very ordinary builds, and with their faces all hidden behind Shrek masks it was very difficult to discern anything. The team spirit fighting stage was much larger than for 1 versus 1 and 2 versus 2, its diameter reaching 40 meters. The surrounding audience was also twice as large, and by now the stands were already packed. On the spirit fighting stage were some bloodstains, clearly left behind from the previous team spirit fight. The Mad Battle team's appearance at once ignited the audience's craze, strong cheers resounded from everywhere. Tear them to shreds. Kill them. Similar calls not only increased the pressure, but also made people's blood boil. The announcer on the stage was unexpectedly that manager Ao, who helped the Shrek 7 devils out before, standing in the center of the ring, the fourth bout, team battles. The two sides ready to fight are Mad Battle Team and Shrek 7 devils. Regarding the Mad Battle Team, I think there is already no need for a lengthy introduction. They have already obtained a brilliant record of 7 successive victories. If they can keep it up and in the future win a few more bouts, then they will very possibly set the Suotuo Great Spirit Arena's record for fastest reaching Copper Spirit fights. Next, let us have a look at the mysterious assembly on the other side. This team completed registration just today. This is also their first team spirit fight. How unfortunate that they must face Mad Battle Team. These masked spirit masters are called Shrek 7 devils. Whether it was because the Mad Battle Team had too many supporters or the Shrek 7 devils masks gave the spectators a bad feeling, as manager Ao announced their name, the surrounding audience immediately booed. The area of the round 40-meter diameter spirit fighting stage was already exceptionally large, more than 1,000 square meters. Therefore, even though both sides lined up had more than 14 people, it still didn't seem crowded. Following manager Ao's proclamations, the Shrek 7 devils and Mad Battle Team each assumed their formations. On the Mad Battle Team's side, furthest in front was the team captain Mad Shi, and close behind his back were those two gloomy middle-aged men, the 3 people adopting a triangular formation. The flirtatious woman was in the center of the 7, still wearing a charming smile. The 2 slightly built youths were on the 2 flanks, and that appearing very ordinary older middle-aged man was last. The whole formation resembled a pointed awl. The Shrek 7 devils side similarly got into their formation. Different from the opponent's 3-3-1 formation, the Shrek 7 devils assumed a 3-1-1-2 formation. The 7 people split into 4 rows. Furthest in front was Dai Mabai, Xiao Wu and Zhu Zhuqing, second was Tang San, third was Ma Hongjun, and last was Oscar and Ning Rongrong. Oscar stuck close to where Ning Rongrong stood. At present he didn't have any assignment. The 3 sausages Tang San requested for everyone he had already handed out. Even if they had to be replenished, he could accomplish it quickly. "What are you doing this close to me?" Ning Rongrong said in a low voice. Oscar said, "In case someone attacks you, I can shield you with my body." If she had heard Oscar's words in an ordinary situation, Ning Rongrong would certainly have thought he was trying something. But right now Oscar's words didn't sound a bit joking, his gaze all along fixed on the opponents not far away, his voice also clearly became thick. Having 2 auxiliary system spirit masters was admittedly good, but it also meant the Shrek 7 devils fighting strength was 5 people. Facing a team of 35th ranked or higher members, the pressure was obvious, and Ning Rongrong with the 7 treasured glazed tile pagoda spirit would clearly be the opponent's main target. One must know that with her there they could increase their strength by 30%. The announcer separately asked both sides if they were ready. As team captains, Dai Mabai and the other side's Mad Shi simultaneously indicated their preparations were complete. Starting countdown from 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Team Spirit Battles, 4th bout. Begin. 1 versus 1 and 2 versus 2 bouts didn't have this countdown. For the sake of letting both sides' spirit masters have time to release their spirits, like this, in the fight, it could prevent effects of someone releasing their spirit slowly. Of course, to the Great Spirit Arena, it was in order to let the spirit fight become more dramatic and attract the audience. Brothers, release spirits. Dai Mabai shouted loudly. His imposing manner suddenly increased, the muscles all over his body expanding in a flash, both arms stretching out to either side, releasing his spirit white tiger body enhancement. At the same time, both sides simultaneously released their spirits. In a moment, Beast Spirit Masters' bodies changed, Tool Spirit Masters summoned their spirits, the whole spirit fighting stage immediately becoming incomparably dazzling. Tang San finally understood why the audience liked watching team spirit fights. This starting moment alone already couldn't be compared to the two other kinds of spirit fights. Imagine 14 spirit masters simultaneously releasing their spirits, dazzlingly beautiful spirit rings shining simultaneously, such a grand scene. On the Shrek 7 Devils side, the colors of the spirit elders' spirit rings were the same. Dai Mabai, Oscar, Tang San and Xiao Wu all had 2 yellow and 1 purple, in other words 200 year and 1000 year, altogether 3 spirit rings. The other 3 also each had 200 year spirit rings. Compared to the Shrek 7 Devils, the opposing Mad Battle team clearly had somewhat unevenly matched spirit rings. Mad Shi had 1 white, 1 yellow, 1 purple, a standard 10 year, 100 year and 1000 year assembly. The 2 gloomy middle-aged men at his side each had 1 white and 2 yellow. Clearly a lot weaker spirit rings. The only one with a first-rate spirit ring configuration was unexpectedly that flirtatious woman, the same as the 4 spirit elders on the Shrek 7 Devils side. She also possessed the aid of 2 yellow and 1 purple spirit ring. Of the other 3, although they were also 30th ranked spirit masters, a 1000-year spirit ring only appeared over that last very ordinary-looking older middle-aged man. His spirit rings were the same as Mad Shi, and the other 2 had 1 white and 2 yellow. The Shrek 7 Devils side's neat colors immediately formed a clear contrast with the other side's uneven matchup. Although Mad Shi, who had previously already sounded out Dai Mabai's strength, had a certain preparedness, as he saw the Shrek 7 Devils unexpectedly had 4 spirit elders with first-rate spirit ring arrangements, he was still alarmed. Fortunately, they still had 3 spirit grandmasters, otherwise, perhaps he would have immediately thought of surrender. From the contrast of spirit rings before them it could be seen just how rare higher-level spirit rings were. For common spirit masters, obtaining a good spirit ring was exceedingly difficult. After all, spirit beasts that produced excellent spirit rings were all much more powerful than spirit masters. They could only be obtained safely with powerful assistance. The originally noisy crowd now became silent. The impact of seeing 4 purple spirit rings was absolutely not small. To say nothing of the Shrek 7 Devils side not having even 1 white spirit ring, this was sufficient testimony of their backgrounds. Manager Ao was equally startled by the Shrek 7 Devils spirit rings, but he still recovered to normal very quickly, and along with declaring the start retreated swiftly, his speed incredibly high. Clearly he was a spirit master with not inconsiderable strength. The first to act wasn't the battle spirit masters both sides had in front, but the auxiliary system spirit masters in the back. Light shone in the palm of that older middle-aged man. In his hand was already a silver disc. The white and yellow spirit rings over his body simultaneously flared. Wishful disc, let defensive light blossom. Wishful disc, let offensive halo blossom. 2 halos the same color as the 2 spirit rings released in a flash, giving each of the 6 comrades in front of him a layer of yellow and white light. Volume 7. Great Spirit Battle. Chapter 46. Control System Spirit Master's power. On the Shrek 7 Devil's side, dazzlingly beautiful light already shone in Ning Rongrong's hand. In her right palm was a more than 1 chi tall 7-colored pagoda. Gem-like light twinkling, exuding a noble air, Ning Rongrong had a smile on her face, her entire body floating in the air like an immortal. Auxiliary System Spirit Master Spirit incantations rose from her lips. 7 treasure words. First, strength. 7 treasure words. Second, speed. The 2 spirit rings circling around Ning Rongrong spiraled up simultaneously, enveloping the 7 treasures glazed tile pagoda. 14 lines of light were released simultaneously, separately reaching out to her and her 6 companions. Relaxation and warmth, these 2 kinds of feelings simultaneously spread through the bodies of the Shrek 7 devils, physical strength and speed in a moment receiving a 30% boost. This 7 treasures glazed tile pagoda was actually too familiar to many people, seeing their opponents unexpectedly had a 7 treasures glazed tile pagoda spirit master. The expressions of the Mad Battle Team's members immediately became unsightly. Let alone the 7 glazed tile pagoda's effect on teammates being first among auxiliary system spirit masters, the 7 treasures glazed tile school background alone was already enough to give them pause. Up. The arrow was on the bowstring, there was no choice but to let it fly. Right now Mad Shi already didn't have the time to think too much, although in his heart he regretted the previous provocation to Dai Mabai. At this moment he could only finish the battle before talking about it again. Plotting this time's victory, they absolutely couldn't before injure the opponent. They mustn't offend the 7 treasures glazed tile school. Mad Zai's spirit was indeed rhinoceros. After releasing his spirit, not only did his body grow 1 size, his skin growing a layer of horn that was just like armor. What changed the most was his head, growing a more than half a chi-long horn that twinkled with light brown light. Along with his loud shout, light rushed out from his 10-year spirit ring. With an imposing manner he charged towards Dai Mabai. The 2 spirit masters by Mad Zai's side were also classified in the power system. Both were beast spirit masters, using identical spirits, heads growing 2 horns, skin a layer of white fur. They were grand sheep spirits. In concert with Mad Shi, they charged simultaneously. As a team, coordination was extremely important. The Mad Battle Team's auxiliary system spirit master gave them a 5% defense boost and 10% offense boost. Compared to the 7 treasures glazed tile pagoda's amplification, the difference was really too far. Otherwise, how would the 7 glazed tile pagoda be called the premier support spirit? Behind Mad Zai's trio, the 2 agility attack system spirit masters also moved swiftly. Their spirits were monkey, their bodies covered by yellow fur. With incomparable speed they detoured around either side of Dai Mabai's trio, directly aiming for Ning Rongrong. At the same time, that flirtatious young woman with the first-rate spirit rings acted. She was also a beast spirit master, able to hold the central position of the team. Besides strength, it was her spirit master cultivation direction, the same as Tang San. She was also a control system spirit master. What amazed Tang San was that this flirtatious young woman's beast spirit was unexpectedly spider. In the instant of her spirit body enhancement, Tang San finally took note of her. As the flirtatious young woman's spirit released, her whole body was covered by a layer of pink light, wavy long hair rising into 8 locks, unexpectedly taking the shape of 8 spider legs to the sides of her head. On her forehead was a spider web mark. Her 2 eyes also became pink. Along with the first spirit ring flaring, raising both hands, a line of spider silk shot out from her palm, aimed into the air where it began to weave together. Seeing the opponent's control system spirit master was a spider, even Dai Mabai couldn't help but smile. The man-faced demon spider had a name among arachnid spirit beasts, that was Spider King. He didn't even need to think about it, he already knew the other side's spirit was restrained by their side. Tang San coolly observed the situation. He shouted loudly, "Fatty, mid-air, Phoenix Firewire, launch." Ma Hongjun was already prepared from long ago. Purple-red flames sprayed out, going straight for the spider web in the air. It was also at just this moment that Tang San also acted. Several tens of blue-silver grass abruptly spread out from below him, not at all forward, but rather to the sides, the binding ability activating doubly, directly blocking those two monkey spirit agility attack system young spirit masters. Control system restrained agility attack system, this was something any spirit master knew. Seeing the blue-silver grass mill out, the two surprisingly fast monkey spirit masters immediately came to a halt. Tang San's hand also rose. Without even looking to either side, the round green light in his palm was already thrown with the arrow hand throw technique, targeting Mad Shi furthest in front of the opponents. Mad Shi naturally saw the green light released by Tang San. He also understood this person on the other side was a control system spirit master, and without thinking launched his second spirit ring. Along with his enormous body rushing forward, he simultaneously swung his fists. A dazzling black light shone from the fists. The two unexpectedly collided in midair, becoming an enormous black light wave, rushing straight for the yellow-green light Tang San sent out. It had to be said that Mad Zai's actual combat experience was unusually rich. The target of his black light wave wasn't just the green light Tang San launched. Once it smashed the green light, then, its next target was Dai Mabai. But, could he truly stop that green light? Mad Shi in the end still overlooked one thing. When Tang San released the green light, it was his third spirit ring that shone, just that purple thousand-year spirit ring. The green light wasn't destroyed by the black light, it also didn't clash with the black light. The black light's attack swept down, but at this moment, a blue-silver grass quietly stretched out from a tricky angle, just enough to nudge behind the green light. At the soft touch, originally about to meet with the black light, the green light floated up into the air and again back down. Mad Shi, careful, the flirtatious young woman's face changed, hurriedly shouting a loud warning. Right now, in midair that not fully formed spider web was already completely changed before Ma Hongjun's evil fire, without reaching half its original effect. With Ning Rongrung's 7 treasure glazed tile pagoda amplification, the originally not inconsiderable spirit power difference had been substantially pulled closer. This artillery-like attack of Ma Hongjun's could display the full might of his evil fire. Mad Shi of course knew he had to be careful, but speed was after all not his area of expertise. The black light his fists threw out was now already impacting the second spirit ability White Tiger Light Wave Dai Mabai unleashed. The white and black colors colliding immediately caused an enormous boom. This time, Mad Shi didn't have any advantage. At the same time as Dai Mabai came to a stop, he swayed once. The green light finally revealed its true nature, in a flash spreading out into a large net dropping from the sky, completely enveloping Mad Zai's body within. The spider web abruptly tightened, closely twisting Mad Zai's body together. With spider web restraint having double the toughness of blue-silver grass, Mad Shi wanting to break free from within the large net became practically an impossible matter. A burst of smoke simultaneously appeared under the spider web. The spider web's additional corrosive and paralyzing types of poison unleashed simultaneously, starting to erode the horn layer on Mad Zai's skin. Little San, well done. Dai Mabai, seeing Mad Shi successfully contained by Tang San, immediately roused his spirit. Stomping down forcefully, he shot forward like an arrow, his target the leftmost sheep spirit master. Confronting the opponent's charge, he basically lazily sidestepped. Just what is called a lamb in a tiger's den. With their spirit's innate contrast, the atmosphere around Dai Mabai already had a not inconsiderable effect on the opponent. Xiao Wu's figure flashed, meeting the other sheep spirit master, and Zhu Zhuqing accelerated with all her strength, flanking from the side, regardless of that control system spirit master, directly targeting the rearmost wishful disc support spirit master. The fight was now already in full swing. In the first exchange, it was clearly the Mad Battle team that had suffered greatly. Their principal fighting strength Mad Shi was twisted up in Tang San's spider web restraint, making their frontline situation immediately disadvantageous. At this moment, the Mad Battle Team revealed the strength of their 7 successive victories. Among any one Spirit Master team, regardless of the number of people, the Control System Spirit Master was the soul of the team. The flirtatious young woman, seeing Mad Shi trapped, didn't reveal any impatience, instead swiftly advancing, pouncing towards Mad Shi, at the same time shouting in a loud voice, "Both monkeys withdraw, protect wishful disk. Both sheep hold fast." The 2 monkey spirit masters previously blocked by Tang San's blue-silver grass were already swiftly retreating to their side. Now hearing the flirtatious young woman's orders, they pounced at Zhu Zhuqing without the slightest hesitation. Mad Shi, in his violent struggle, had now already fallen down. He wanted to rely on his physical strength to struggle free of Tang San's spider web restraint, but that corrosive poison constantly coming from the spider web was swiftly eroding his horn layer. His defensive power was admittedly very high, but this didn't at all mean he was immune to poison. The outermost horn layer had already been corroded, and the more violently he struggled, the tighter the spider web became. Right now it was already gradually deepening. When the flirtatious young woman saw Tang San in an instant shooting the spider web, she was already greatly shocked. Although Tang San's spider web was constituted of blue-silver grass, she clearly understood that the opponent's 3rd spirit ring certainly came from an arachnid spirit beast. But she, with a spider spirit confronting this kind of opponent, didn't have any confidence. Right now her goal was very simple. First she had to dissolve the spider web over Mad Shi. "Your opponent is me." Tang San's calm and steady voice echoed next to the flirtatious young woman's ear. Blue-silver grass milled out, going straight for entwining her body. He absolutely wouldn't give Mad Shi the opportunity to recover his fighting strength. Dai Mabai, confronting the sheep spirit master, already held the absolute advantage. Even though the opponent's spirit power wasn't weaker than his spirit's advantage was really too big. Before his berserk tiger claw attack, the opponent could only retreat step by step. But neither side had used their 3rd spirit ring. That was a last resort, only for when absolutely necessary. No one would use it lightly. Different from Dai Mabai's relaxation, Xiao Wu ran into some trouble. Her opponent was equally a sheep spirit master, and besides clashing with spirit abilities, this sheep spirit master's 2nd spirit ability was unexpectedly a rare trampling. Even though trampling didn't have much range, whenever Xiao Wu was about to get close, he unleashed the trampling ability, and basically didn't give Xiao Wu the opportunity to close in. At the same time, after Xiao Wu was shaken by the trampling ability, she still had to face the opponent's charge, several times narrowly escaping injury. For the moment she still didn't dare press the attack. Her teleportation ability was unexpectedly sealed by a 2nd spirit ring trampling ability. Although the opponent's ability could only restrain her for a second, this second still left Xiao Wu largely helpless. To say nothing of the opponent's spirit power being higher than hers, for the moment, they could still only tangle up each other. Neither of them had a method to deal with their opponent. Zhu Zhuqing's speed was matchless. Under the effect of Ning Rongrong's 7 treasures glazed tile pagoda, by practically only dodging sideways a few times, she had already reached the other side's wishful disk spirit master. Right now, those 2 monkey spirit masters were still a short distance away from her. The 1st spirit ability, Hell Rush Stab, activated. With the help of her spirit ability, Zhu Zhuqing's speed redoubled. The sharp claws on her fingertips already extending, directly targeting the opposing spirit master's neck. As long as she could successfully down the opponent, his support capability would disappear and her goal would be achieved. Blue-silver grass rushed out frantically, tangling towards the flirtatious young woman. Facing Tang San's attack, the flirtatious young woman didn't dare take any chances. As the linchpins of both sides, they at last collided. The flirtatious young woman's 2nd spirit ring flared, both simultaneously lifted their heads. This time, she was no longer squirting spider thread from her palms, rather spider silk welled out from her whole body. Although the spider silk was more delicate than blue-silver grass, it won out in quantity, forming a protective screen in front of her, able to rigidly block the blue-silver grass. Where the spider silk came into contact with blue-silver grass, they constantly made a popping sound. That was the confrontation of poison. With a spider spirit, how could the flirtatious young woman's spirit ability not contain poison? The flirtatious young woman's spider silk apparently had an identical development direction as Tang San's blue-silver grass. Spider silk was tough. Blue-silver grass itself also relied on flexible strength. Both sides were deadlocked in midair, nobody able to deal with the opponent. They could only rely on poison to attack each other. In this respect, blue-silver grass with the man-faced demon spider's toxicity clearly held the advantage, the supplemental corrosive poison constantly corroding the spider silk. Although the flirtatious young woman was inwardly shocked, right now her goal was already attained. As long as she could use this opportunity to release Mad Shi, then, the chance for victory still lay on their side. At this time, with a poo sound, a flame as thick as an arm passed through a small opening in the blue-silver grass, directly bombarding the flirtatious young woman's woven-together spider web. The purple-red flame not only directly opened a gap in the spider web, but at the same time adhered to it, quickly spreading to the sides. It was the arrival of Ma Hongjun's support. Tang San praised him inwardly, and with a flick of his wrist, again launched a round green light, just right to thread its way through the hole in the opponent's spider web, going straight for that flirtatious young woman. As long as he was able to restrain the other side's control system Spirit Master, this fight would lose any suspense. If the flirtatious young woman didn't duck quickly, she would have been injured by Ma Hongjun's Phoenix Firewire. Phoenix Firewire. When Ma Hongjun had already released Bathing Fire, Phoenix greatly increased its attack power, its temperature incomparably high. Most terrifying, his Phoenix Firewire didn't just attack in a straight line, but under Ma Hongjun's control it moved like a long whip of flame, able to destroy her spider web in a few waves. Seeing Tang San's attack already arriving, the flirtatious young woman could no longer manage to help Mad Shi. By falling down, she managed to avoid Tang San's spider web restraint. Spider web restraint spread out in the air. How could its 5-meter diameter range be so easy to escape? At this moment, the third spirit ring over the flirtatious young woman finally flared. On either side of her head, the 8 locks of hair extended, enveloped by pink light, becoming 8 2-meter whips, swinging simultaneously. They unexpectedly halted Tang San's spider web restraint. Most peculiarly, these pink whips weren't affected by the adhesive on the spider web. Rolling her body, she escaped the covering range of the spider web. Peng, the wishful disc spirit master confronting the agility attack system Zhu Zhuqing, basically didn't stand a chance. Just like control system subdued agility attack system also especially subdued auxiliary system. Zhu Zhuqing's one hand sliced at the opponent's neck. The wishful disc spirit master didn't even groan, collapsing unconscious to the ground. But, the moment Zhu Zhuqing appeared before him, he knew he was unable to escape, and also released his third spirit ability. That wishful silver disc discharged a layer of strange silvery light. Immediately afterward, at the same time as Zhu Zhuqing hit him, that silvery light already successfully transformed into 6 parts, and simultaneously infused into the other 6 members of the team. And this moment was also just when that flirtatious young woman escaped from Tang San's spider web restraint. The silvery light entering him, the mad battle team's bodies trembled once. The next moment, their eyes unexpectedly simultaneously reddened, their bodies also expanding a full size. Even Mad Shi, on the ground still in the spider web restraint, relied on his waist strength to leap up from the ground. Dai Mabai originally already held the complete advantage, but after his opponent was infused with the silvery light, he unexpectedly suddenly became frenzied, not only greatly increasing spirit power, but at the same time both eyes turning deep red, firmly forcing Dai Mabai to retreat, and moreover frantically charging at him. Xiao Wu's circumstances were still worse than Dai Mabai's, that silvery light infusing her opponent more than increasing spirit power and becoming frenzied. At the same time, that trampling ability's range also became much greater. Along with the intense shaking, Xiao Wu's body immediately grew stiff, unable to dodge the opponent's charge. In this key moment, team coordination at once showed its effects. A blue-silver grass quietly twisted around Xiao Wu's waist, forcefully pulling back her body, getting her out of the way of the opponent's attack. The two monkey spirit masters' speed suddenly increased, unexpectedly catching up to Zhu Zhuqing and pressuring her. And the flirtatious young woman's long pink hair in front of Tang San grew longer in a flash, diverting four to directly strike at the spider web on Mad Zai's body, tearing with all their might, adding to Mad Shi using all his strength. That spider web restraint on his body unexpectedly gave way slightly. Although Mad Zai's body had a large web of scars, as long as he was able to break away from the spider web restraint, then, with him joining the opponents, the situation would immediately change. The other four locks rapidly extended, whipping straight for Tang San. Right now Tang San was a bit empty. Successively releasing two spiderweb restraints had already consumed 2/3 of his spirit power. Confronting the opponent's fanatical attack, blue-silver grass was already insufficient to obstruct it. Helplessly, he had no choice but to use Ghost Shadow Perplexing Track to swiftly withdraw. Fortunately, he had Fatty's Phoenix Firewire cover blocking the other side's attack. Among the 7 of the Mad Battle team, besides the wishful Disc Spirit Master unconscious on the ground, the majority had already sunk into a kind of special state, apparently only that Spider-Woman Spirit Master still kept her head clear. Although Phoenix Evil Fire was her nemesis, she used Mad Zai's body as a shield in front of her. Ma Hongjun's burning Phoenix Firewire, although it made Mad Shi bellow repeatedly, was still insufficient to injure him. But Tang San's spider web restraint was equally affected by the evil fire. Under the utmost efforts of Mad Shi and the Spider-Woman Spirit Master, the spider web restraint was finally removed. Originally in a vastly superior position, the situation completely transformed under the wishful Disc Spirit Master's spirit ability. 1,000-year Spirit Rings ability indeed wasn't common. What the Shrek 7 Devils didn't know was that the reason the opponents were called Mad Battle Team was their relationship with the current condition. That wishful Disc Spirit Master's third Spirit Ring ability was obtained from a fanatic devil lizard. When used, this 1,000-year Spirit Rings ability was able to grant a fanatical condition for 3 minutes. After gaining the fanatical condition, one would lose the sense of pain, and if one's mental strength was too weak, one would also simultaneously lose consciousness. In exchange, it would boost all attributes by 50%, and once gained, the auxiliary system spirit ability also lasted independently for 1 minute. In other words, even if that wishful Disc Spirit Master was now already unconscious, the effect of his efforts on the Mad Battle Team members would still be sustained for 1 minute under fanaticism's own power. It was also just like this that they could reverse the situation in an instant. Of course, the fanaticism ability being this tyrannical, it naturally also had flaws. The flaws were very straightforward. The fanaticism ability only had a duration of 3 minutes, and after 3 minutes the ones affected by the fanaticism ability would be unable to use or condense spirit power for 1 double hour. In other words, if they couldn't defeat the opponent under the effects of fanaticism, they would die themselves. This was an all-in spirit ability, but its effects were also absolutely beyond the ordinary, capable of reversing heaven and earth in a key moment. At this key moment, it displayed Tang San's importance as a control system spirit master and the soul of the team. He gave up attacking up front. Blue-silver grass quickly shot out, and following Xiao Wu, Zhu Zhuqing, who was being chased by the enemy team's 2 monkey spirit masters, was pulled back beside Tang San. Who also came back was Dai Mabai, who just got forced away by his opponent. In a short time, he gathered the 7 people on his team. Control system spirit masters not only have to control the enemy, they also have to control their own team. What Tang San did showed how well he knew his job. Surprisingly, Mad Battle Team's 6 people with spiked strength did not attack. With a shrill scream, the flirtatious young woman gathered her team up as well. Surrender, or else, even I can't control what damage we might do. The flirtatious young lady's voice was very pleasing, yet her tone was full of helplessness. Yet the members of the mad battle team beside her were breathing heavily. Their surging spirit power fluctuations formed an assaulting pressure. Dai Mabai coldly shouted, "You want me to surrender? Quit dreaming. Beat us first and then we'll talk." The flirtatious Spider-Woman Spirit Master disdainfully twitched her mouth. "If not for the 7 treasures glazed tile pagoda Spirit Master, you think I would waste time talking? If so, I can only say sorry for the damage soon to be caused by us." A shrill scream sounded from her again. Fanaticism only lasted for 3 minutes, so she couldn't afford to delay any longer. Mad Battle Team already earned 7 consecutive wins. If they continued winning, then their income would be incalculable. Even if the enemy had a 7 treasures glazed tile pagoda Spirit Master, they wouldn't give up. In the previous spirit battles, the reason Mad Battle Team could repeatedly beat stronger enemies was the support ability fanaticism. And it was also because of it that their members lost their consciousness and often ended matches with crippled or even dead enemies. As the commander, Tang San promptly shouted, "Everyone levitate." Shrek's 7 monsters almost simultaneously ate a peculiar mushroom sausage. As the Mad Battle Team neared, the 7 of them suddenly sprouted wings of light and shadow, levitating 20 meters into the air. The opponent suddenly disappeared, so the members of the Mad Battle Team lost their targets. As the only clear-minded one, Spider-Woman Spirit Master turned pale. She never thought her enemies all had the ability to fly. In the air, Shrek's 7 monsters each ate another recovering sausage, recovering their spirit power and strength. Tang San didn't mind the enemies below. Mad Battle Team didn't have a single flying Spirit Master, and wasn't adept at long-range attacks either. Even the control system Spirit Master of theirs couldn't control people over 20 meters away. "Little San, what do we do now? The mushroom sausage only allows us to fly for 1 minute. Oscar can only fly for half a minute." Though Dai Mabai wasn't afraid, seeing the people with rank 35 and above all grow even stronger made him feel helpless. Tang San didn't panic. "If I guess correctly, the reason their power suddenly increased was because of the 1000-year spirit ability that support system Spirit Master used before he fainted, instantly increasing all their strength. But have you noticed that other than the Spider-Woman Spirit Master, all of them have lost their consciousness?" According to teacher's knowledge of support system Spirit Masters, this situation won't last very long, just like Oscar's mushroom sausages. Also, after the effect, they must have great side effects, or else wouldn't that support-type Spirit Master's spirit be as strong as Rongrung's 7 treasures glazed tile pagoda? Ma Hongjun said, "But what if we fall down and they still haven't lost their buff?" Tang San said heavily, "Then we can only bet. Victory is what we want, but everyone's safety is more important. In their current state, Mad Battle Team is already beyond what we can go against. Little Ow, how many more mushroom sausages can you make?" Oscar first passed a sausage to Tang San. "I do not have much spirit power left. I gave one to Boss Dai when we were doing 2 versus 2 battles. After, I made one for each one of us and this is the 9th one. I can at most make one more. Little San, let me do it." Dai Mabai already understood Tang San's meaning. He wanted to rely on the longer flying time to bet that the fanaticism will run out first, and also bet that fanaticism would have severe side effects. Tang San said, "No, let me do it. Right now everyone has used quite a bit of spirit power. In close combat techniques, you aren't as skilled as I am. Also, I have techniques that can keep me alive. Even if their fanaticism really lasts longer than I expect, I can still leave. Since you let me command, then just listen to me." A minute's time passed quickly. Soon the minute was going to end, yet the fanaticism effect on the members of the Mad Battle Team didn't look like it was going away anytime soon. Spider-Woman Spirit Master also calmed down from the starting panic. As a fellow control system Spirit Master, her real combat experience was plentiful. If only a few people flew up, they might have flying Spirit Masters, but if all 7 flew up at the same time, then it could only be a spirit ability. Tang San was betting, But wasn't she betting that their flying lasted shorter than their fanaticism as well? Oscar gave his last mushroom sausage to Tang San and immediately flew off stage. He was almost entirely depleted of spirit power, his face pale. His entire body was feeling the side effects of the emptiness within him. At this time, the 3 months of devilish training was paying off. Though it felt very painful, he was still very awake, not unlike a normal person. The major side effects of using excessive amounts of spirit power wasn't showing that much. Another half-minute passed, and Shrek's 7 monsters, other than Tang San, all flew off the spirit battle platform. Spider-Woman Spirit Master saw them all fly down one by one. Especially after seeing the 7 treasures glazed tile Spirit Master leaving, she let out a pent-up breath. But when everyone left except Tang San, her expression changed again. At this time Tang San already ate his 2nd mushroom sausage. "You're not going to leave?" Spider-Woman Spirit Master beamed an enchanting smile at Tang San. Tang San calmly laughed, "Though I'm the only one left, who can say the last winner isn't us?" At this moment, all the spectators started an uproar. When they saw the entire Shrek's 7 monster fly upwards, they were already surprised. Seeing the checkmate happening, both screams of delight and anger sounded. Screams of delight were for the unique sight of everyone flying, and the anger was naturally from the lack of action. And all the anger was of course pointed at Tang San. Tang San didn't mind the audience's attitude. Right now he put all his attention on observing Mad Battle Team. His eyes shined purple. Purple demon eyes were activated. When Dai Mabai and the others left the stage, Tang San clearly saw the Mad Battle Team members shiver once, their vigor decreasing and their spirit power fluctuations not as great as before. Of course he didn't know it was actually Mad Battle Team's 2 previous buffs that disappeared. In his eyes, this was a sign that their fanaticism was about to end, and he was a lot more confident in his own judgment. Mad Battle Team's unconscious members were continuously roaring under him. Spider Lady Spirit Master's gaze was also fixed on Tang San. Both sides were waiting for the situation both sides yearned for. The last laugh was, in the end, Tang San's. After eating the 3rd mushroom sausage, just when he was about to give up, Mad Battle Team's members all shuddered at once. Other than Spider Lady Spirit Master, the others' fanaticism slowly faded, revealing confused expressions, their gaze becoming clearer while their spirit power fluctuations rapidly decreasing. Success. Tang San's heart leapt with joy, but he couldn't afford to be careless right now. He didn't want to get tricked by the enemy and lose. Spider Lady Spirit Master's face changed. Though her body was still shaking, it wasn't shaking as much as her teammates. Her spirit power still decreased majorly, causing her to look clearly weaker. Mushroom Sausage's flying effect finally wore off. Tang San slowly floated to the ground. With Oscar's recovering sausages, his strength has recovered to its max already. His spirit power was also recovered to about 40%. Just as I thought. You couldn't keep on flying. Spider Lady Spirit Master displayed her calm, not even glancing at the pale and pained teammates, still staring at Tang San, as if she recovered her sharpness. Tang San laughed calmly. "Are you not the same? The status after all couldn't last that long either. If I'm correct, even if your support system Spirit Master did not faint, he could only use this ability once.